Gaussian and the ethnic bigotry and bias going on, that a lot of people have touted people that are peddling in the state. I mean, what are you going to say? Are you going to condemn this, that some people are not from Lagos? Also, are you going to condemn the thuggery that is going on in Lagos? People were beaten for going to vote last week. All sorts of thuggery happened. And this thuggery also happened somewhere in Surulere that led you not going to the debate, which a lot of people have been asking, that as the chief security officer, why didn't you come to the debate? Are you going to condemn this thuggery? And what are you going to say for those that are causing chaos in this center of excellence?
You said it, it's center of excellence. And that's a word in which I want to, so if indeed we're excellent, there's some things that we need to be able to be globally competitive with, the resilience, our ability to make sure Lagos continue to, create opportunity for everyone. FD highest numbers in the country shows that Lagos continue to wrap up, right? So, but in terms of specifics, to the extent that we do all of these identify trainings and bringing skills out, we also don't have rules over who comes into Lagos at what point. We don't have a border post at Ojota or anywhere coming into Lagos. So we usually have a challenge to know where are all of these people coming from. Because for us, a Lagos that is a center of excellence must continue to speak to that excellence in every sense of it. It's a place where people come in, do business, do well, and they can create wealth for themselves and their family and the ecosystem, the community in which they live. That is our primary, driver, right? Any other thing that comes up will be a distraction for us, right, which we will need to deal. So to answer your question very well, it's condemnable and we are totally condemning. It's not acceptable. It's not something that any forward-looking government will want to.
So you condemn the ethnic bigotry.
Oh, absolutely.
And those that are saying some people are Igbos, they're not from Lagos, you condemn all of that.
So first thing first is that the first thing is we're human beings. That's the first thing, right? And the very next level is that we're Nigerians, which is a put together that is not you and I that created it. The moment we can put that into inclusion, then the next question we'll ask ourselves is, okay, so Ayo needs to go to an hospital. At the point of she's going to deliver, would she say that she needs a Yoruba doctor or she needs an Igbo doctor for a baby to be catched? Or you're going to a bakery and you want to ask that you want a Yoruba bread that is manufactured as against, an Igbo bread. Or Ruben here will go to a butcher and says, it's only the meat that has been cut by an Hausa man and a Yoruba man that I'm going to eat. For as long as those don't divide us, for as long as those are not the parentheses in which we judge ourselves, these other lines that politics have brought, it's just supposed to be a little dot and move away very, very quickly. We should not even ventilate it. We should not give it anything to hold a space in us. Because what drives us is that I want to enter an Uber. I'm not asking you where are you from. I want to go into a bakery. I'm not asking who baked this bread. Those are the things, in my view, that defines the excellence that we have in Lagos. And that's what we should promote, right? We could have this flash, to say that, this person is not from my town. Which town? Right? We're Nigerians, we're human beings. Nobody has, that dominant thing about. So the real, answer to that is it's not something that I will, push for. It's not something that, I would continue to ventilate. But I understand and I also appreciate that in local communities, there are cultural issues. There are cultural issues that people want to preserve based on the number of years they've been in a place or something. So those also could be, respect, because you are, in a place where some people say we've been here for 300, 400, 500 years. These are the ways in which we do things. But the world is actually indeed becoming a single dot, a global market.
Okay. I also want to talk about the case of Thuggery. Thuggery was so rife that you claimed it prevented you from going to the debates, that you don't understand gun violence and on all of that.
Yes.
So, but what would you like to say about the Thuggery that happened during the elections? Are you going to condemn it? And a lot of people are saying the state should be able to clamp down on the talk. What are you going to do as regards that? And why didn't you attend the debate? People are asking.
So there are too many things you have put together.
Sorry, I only get to see you once.
No, I like that. But it's condemnable. No society, no leader worth his worth will indeed allow, a state, to be run, by people that, we cannot even identify. Right? So that's condemnable, and I think the military, the entire security operatives should be able to deal with that. I was in my house, like I'm sure with all of you, and so it's not something we should entertain in our society. To ask the question around why did I, it would have been nice if I have invited me, I probably would have turned up, but and I did that, and I put out a statement, and I told the organizers that if you want to be in the leadership position to run the 6th largest economy right, in Africa, there are some rules that you should not be found. We saw brazenly on social media, right, branded vehicles with guns, with cutlasses in a neighborhood in broad daylight, right, few days to that. It's totally unacceptable, right? And because of that, and I said I will not stand on the same platform. I don't know where that's in. I will not stand on the same with such. I mean, well, I mean, it's a government idea.
In the studio here.
Yes, sir.
Somebody sent a message, said Labour Tsunami has forced Sanwo out to start talking to the media. Yeah, and I guess the person was referring to the fact that the presidential candidate of your party, now president, lost to Labour in Lagos State. The question is, what is the lesson that you have learned from that you have taken away from that, particularly with regard to how young people of Lagos State voted on February 20th?
So, it's an interesting discussion, right? And we need to look at it globally. Because the candidate who is the president-elect now, right, will have looked at the map of Nigeria, clearly. Lagos is one of his base. But for him to have won that election, he probably would have looked at Lagos and looked at the big case, which is Kano, Kaduna, and Katsina, right? Interestingly, all of those first states did not go favorable for him. So it is beyond even Lagos. It is to look at the election and how it has turned out, and that's what even historians and political discussants need to also further dimension. But for us, in one way, we've been able to identify and look critically as into what went wrong, right? And some of them were not just chipping it, right? The Muslim ticket played a role, because we knew that there were a lot of this. Lagos also center of a lot of Christian, population and rest, and we had information, so it's there, right? The other reasons are, some people say that from their own ethnic nationality, this is the first time they're having a song on the ballot, so it's good, it's not good, now my Peking, I'm going to go ahead and deal with it. So we cannot force anybody. That's the beauty of democracy. The third reason is that we ourselves have our own internal wrangling, and we have our own internal issues that we're not able to resolve, or we haven't resolved fully, before we went, into the election. So, in my view, these are some of the things that has indeed affected. And you also, you've also mentioned, the issue about the youth, right? It's also not something that we should play down on. But for me, the real conversation is, if we claim that Lagos has 6.7 million or thereabout voters that have collected PVC, so why do we have only less than 20% voter turnout? So those are the main things that we need to also critique, and find out what do we need to do additionally for people to want to come out and exercise their civil, duty. It's a national call, right? It's not an APC or a Labour or a PDP thing. It's a national, assignment that we believe our citizens must be able to respond. Why? Less than 20%. You know how well you were talking about PVC collection, extensions, you draw the line to, and so at the end of the day, why did they show up? So maybe these are some of the things. So it's not a true reflective, given less than 20%, it's not a true reflective of a total negotiation. And that's why I'm out to ensure that a 3 million, a 2.5 million becomes a decent percentage of negotiants that must, come out to vote.
The people came out. The problem is that they were disenfranchised by the incompetence of INEC, because we were all part of that election. We all witnessed it. But okay.
Well,
what plans do you have for the young people of Lagos State?
A lot.
Because they are very critical of you.
Well, yes, and they're my children, they're my bosses in some space, because I identify with all of them. I identify with all of them at various levels, right? It's a large number, right? And there's no way you can do it. You can satisfy every single person. I'm not the greatest person that engage, on social. I'm not the greatest, because there's a lot of roll-off sleeves that you need to get to work. But in terms of specifics, everything that we're doing is very, intentional to look at how do we get people out of the poverty market? How do we get people out of the unemployment market, right? So if I do a road construction, right, the road construction is not for me. It's about, the number of youth that are working as supervisors, as laborers, as engineers on that site. So it has a trickle effect. That's how the pyramids actually work, right? For every infrastructure intervention, it is meant to be money for some youth who is energetic, who can also provide, for his family. And other areas